Hello all, and welcome to A Course in Miracles, Workbook for Students. We are on Lesson 152. The power of decision is my own. So let's read this. No one can suffer loss unless it be his own decision. Whoa. No one can suffer pain except his choice elects this state for him. Another whoa. No one can grieve, nor fear, nor think him sick unless these are the outcomes that he wants. And no one dies without his own consent. Nothing occurs but represents your wish. And nothing is omitted that you choose. Here is your world, complete in all of its details. Here is the whole reality for you. And it is only here that salvation is. So the beginning of this salvation is realizing the power of our own decision. That everything is in our life is not happening to us as if we were a victim, but it's actually exactly what we have chosen. And I know this is hard to believe and hard to grasp and may even be offensive, but it is the secret to knowing your own power and knowing that salvation is just your choice. Choosing to believe in what is eternal, that's real, instead of what is temporary and ephemeral and just shadows and a world that couldn't have been created by a God of love, couldn't possibly be real. So this is what this course is about. The power of our decision to save ourselves. You may believe that this position is extreme, the position that our decision has given us everything that we've asked for. We may think it's too inclusive to be true. Yet can truth have exceptions? If you have the gift of everything, how can loss be real? Everything. Can pain be part of peace or grief of joy? Can fear and sickness enter in a mind where love and perfect holiness abide? Truth must be all-inclusive, if it be the truth at all. Accept no opposites, accept no exceptions, for to do so is to contradict the truth entirely. Salvation is the recognition that the truth is true and nothing else is true. This you have heard before, but you may not accept both parts of it. Without the first, the truth is true. The second has no meaning, but without the second, the first is no longer true. If something else were true except for the truth, then the truth would lose all of its meaning. Basically what it's saying here. So truth cannot have an opposite. This cannot be too often said and thought about. For if what is not true is true, as well as what is true, then part of truth would have to be false. And truth will have lost all of its meaning. Nothing but the truth is true, and what is false is false. This is the simplest of distinctions, yet the most obscured. But not because it's difficult distinction to perceive, but because it's concealed behind this vast array of choices that do not appear to be entirely your own. So we look at all these choices that other people are making around the world and in our lives, and they seem to have effects. And when we see all these other choices and all their other effects happening to us, this conceals the truth that we're actually receiving exactly what we want, exactly what we've asked for. But not, okay, it's concealed behind a vast array of choices that do not appear to be entirely your own, and thus the truth appears to have some aspects that belie consistency, but it doesn't seem to be but contradictions introduced by you. As God created you, you must remain unchangeable with transitory states, by definition false. So to say I'm like in a transitory state right now, I'm not perfect yet, but I'm getting there. I've fallen, but one of these days I'm going to be back in the fold. That's a transitory state. And by definition, that cannot be true. Anything you want to talk about, this calling it a transitory state, or we're going through these changes to become something else, it isn't true. We are unchangeable. And this includes all shifts in feeling, alterations and conditions of the body and mind, in all awareness and in all response. This is the all-inclusiveness which sets the truth apart from falsehood, and false kept separate from the truth and what it is. Isn't it strange? You believe to think you made the world you see as arrogance. God didn't make it. Of this you can be sure. What can he know of the ephemeral, the sinful, the guilty, the afraid, the suffering, the lonely, and the mind that lives within a body that must die? You but accuse him of insanity to think he made a world where such things seem to have reality. He's not mad. Yet only madness could make a world like this. To think that God made chaos contradicts his will. To think that he invented opposites to the truth and suffers death to triumph over life, all this is arrogance. To say that God made this world is arrogance. That's what's arrogant. But humility would see at once that these things are not of him. And can you see what God didn't really create? To think you can is merely to believe you can perceive what God willed not to be. And what could be more arrogant than this? Let us today be truly humble and accept what we have made and what it is. The power of decision is our own. Decide but to accept your rightful place as co-creator of the universe, and all you think you made will disappear. What rises to awareness then will be all that there ever was, eternally as it is now. And it will take the place of all self-deceptions made but to usurp the altar to the Father and the Son. Today we practice true humility, abandoning the false pretense by which the ego seeks to prove it's arrogant. Only the ego can be arrogant. But truth is humble in acknowledging its mightiness, its changelessness, and its eternal wholeness, all encompassing God's perfect gift to His beloved Son. We lay aside the arrogance which says that we are sinners, guilty, and afraid, ashamed of what we are. And instead we lift our hearts in true humility to Him who has created us immaculate, like to Himself in power and in love. The power of decision is our own, and we accept of Him that which we are, and we humbly recognize the Son of God. To recognize God's Son implies all as well that all self-concepts have been laid aside and recognized as false. Their arrogance has been perceived, and in humility, the radiance of God's Son, His gentleness, His perfect sinlessness, His Father's love, His right to heaven, His release from hell, they're all joyously accepted as our own. Now do we join in glad acknowledgement that lies are false and only truth is true. We think of truth alone as we arise and spend 5 minutes practicing its ways, encouraging our frightened minds with this: the power of decision is my own, and this day I will accept myself as what my Father's will created me to be. So that's our affirmation and declaration for the day. And then we will wait in silence, giving up all self-deceptions as we humbly ask ourself, with a capital S, that He reveal Himself to us. And He who never left will come again to our awareness, grateful to restore His home to God as it was meant to be. In patience, wait for Him throughout the day, and hourly invite Him with the words with which the day began, concluding it with this same invitation to yourself, with a capital S. God's voice will answer, for He speaks for you and for your Father. He will substitute the peace of God for all your frantic thoughts, the truth of God for self-deceptions, and God's Son for your illusions of yourself. So that's our lesson for today. The power of decision is my own. This day I will accept myself as what my Father's will created me to be. So this is a powerful lesson about the power of our own decision. So, I hope that it's a powerful lesson for you today, and I hope that you can wrap your head around this idea that the universe gives us exactly what we want, exactly what we've asked for. And so, all we have to do is change what we ask. Ask for what is real, what is eternal, instead of what is temporal and illusions. So that's kind of where this is going, taking us into real practical areas that we can really use to see this shift in consciousness take place in our own mind. So let's take our power back, you guys. The power of decision is my own. God bless you today, and thank you so much for spending time doing this workbook lesson with me and allowing me to share reading it with you and share my thoughts. And I will see you tomorrow. Aloha and mahalo.